Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. So let's talk about the commander of the Ukrainian army. Okay, so this is Zaluzhnyi here on your left. All right, so reports have been coming out a lot lately that Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine here on the right side of your screen, was supposedly planning on removing Valery Zaluzhnyi from his post, okay? So he's the commander-in-chief of Ukraine's army, and it looks like that news has finally come true, and he has removed Zaluzhnyi from being the commander of the army, okay? So he has been replaced by someone else. We'll talk about who that is in just a minute. But let's talk a little bit about Zaluzhnyi here. So there's been a lot of information that's been coming out that supposedly Zaluzhnyi was saying things like that there was a stalemate in the war just about a year or so ago, that the war wasn't really going anywhere, so he was kind of talking badly about it, and maybe that wasn't making Zelenskyy look very good. And also, Zaluzhnyi is very popular in Ukraine. Okay, a lot of people like him, and Zelenskyy is also up for re-election. Okay, and I think this was making him look really bad. I think it's a combination of that, and then also a combination of this massive offensive that looks like is coming from the Russians. And I think they're shaking up the military right now and changing their tactics, changing what they're going to be doing here, because things are not looking good for Ukraine, and Ukraine also is not getting a lot of support right now. I did just get word that the Senate bill for this Ukraine package of aid did advance through the Senate. So we'll see, if it ends up getting approved by Congress, and Ukraine may be getting their 60 or 80 billion, something like that, in aid. Okay. So I've got an article pulled up here. Let's talk about this a little bit. So Zelenskyy sacks Ukraine's commander-in-chief Valery Zaluzhnyi. All right. So Ukraine's president has sacked the commander-in-chief of the country's armed forces, Valery Zaluzhnyi. It follows speculation about a rift between the president and General Zaluzhnyi, who has led Ukraine's war effort since the conflict began. Battle-hardened General Alexander Syrskyi was announced to replace him in a presidential decree. So this is going to be the new general, General Alexander Syrskyi. It is the biggest change to Ukraine's military leadership since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said the high command needed to be renewed and that General Zaluzhnyi could remain on the team. So I'm not sure what Zaluzhnyi is doing as of this time, but all we know is that he was removed as commander. So starting today, a new management team will take over the leadership of the armed forces of Ukraine, he said on Thursday. General Zaluzhnyi is a popular general trusted by Ukrainian soldiers and the public, and has been something of a national hero. His recent approval ratings have been higher than those of Mr. Zelenskyy. So again, see, like I said, he's very popular in Ukraine, and people like him more than Zelenskyy. And I'm going to show you a video here in just a minute of some protesters that are not happy with his decision to remove Zaluzhnyi. Okay, so he's very popular compared to Zelenskyy. Okay, and obviously he's not, the president of Ukraine. But people like him more than they like Zelenskyy as of right now. So I've got this video pulled up here. Let's take a look at this. This is a video in Kiev of many different protesters chanting that they want Zelenskyy out. They want him to resign. So let's take a look. Okay, so as you can see here, pretty large crowd inside of Kiev demonstrating and protesting to try to remove Zelenskyy from office, okay? And I know that the people there are very upset with Zaluzhnyi being removed, and he's going to be replaced. So things are going to be changing over there in Ukraine with this whole war going on. and it's going to be completely different from here on out. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit as well about this new commander-in-chief, okay, Alexander Syrskyi. All right, so I have an article pulled up here that's actually talking about Russia, okay? So let me give you a little bit of background with him. So Moscow is calling Ukraine's new Russian-born army chief a traitor, says he won't win. Okay, so why is he a traitor? Let's find out. So senior Russian security official Dmitry Medvedev on Friday said Ukraine's new Russian-born army chief was a traitor, while the Kremlin said the appointment would not alter the outcome of what Russia calls its special military operation in Ukraine. So apparently, this is him right here, Alexander Syrskyi. Okay, so apparently he is actually Russian, and I believe his parents live in Russia right now too. While he's fighting for Ukraine, his family lives in Russia. Okay, so there's a lot of issues with that. And the Kremlin isn't very happy with that, and they are calling him a traitor. But obviously, many people would argue that a lot of the people within Ukraine are technically, like in a way, Russians. You know, they speak a lot of the same language. There's just lots of mixture of people, of Ukrainians and Russians in each country. So obviously, he was born in Russia, lived in Russia at one point. But now he's fighting for the Ukrainian army, so they're calling him a traitor for that, right? So Russian officials commented after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy replaced his country's popular army chief with his ground forces commander on Thursday. A huge gamble at a time when Russian forces are gaining the upper hand nearly 2 years into the war. So yes, Russia is gaining the upper hand right now. They are starting to push back. I am hearing that there's a town, I forget how to pronounce it, it's called like Avdiivka or something like that, that supposedly that town is close to falling, and it's a major turning point in the war. And there's some claims coming out that if that town falls, that they're technically blaming the West, aka the United States. They're blaming them for not pushing this aid bill in through Congress to give the Ukrainians this money and supplies that they need. So Syrskyi was born in 1965 in Russia's Vladimir region, so I'm assuming St. Petersburg, which was then part of the Soviet Union. Like many people of his age in Ukraine's armed forces, he studied in Moscow at the higher military command school among peers who have since become Russian commanders. He served for 5 years in the Soviet Artillery Corps and has lived in Ukraine since the 1980s. Okay, so he has been living in Ukraine for quite some time now. Dmitry Medvedev, an ex-president who is now deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, accused Syrskyi, who did not serve in post-Soviet Russia's army, of breaking his oath as an officer. Looking at the biography of the new commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Syrskyi, one feels a sense of hatred, contempt, and disgust, Medvedev wrote on his official Telegram channel. Disgust for a man who is a Soviet Russian officer but became a Bandera traitor, who broke his oath and serves the Nazis, destroyed his loved ones. May the earth burn beneath his feet. That's a pretty insane statement to make there, but he's obviously very unhappy with the fact that technically he was a born Russian, but now he's fighting for the Ukrainians, which is technically the enemies of Russia at the moment, right? So separately, the Kremlin did not believe that the change at the top of Ukraine's military leadership would alter the outcome of the conflict. In a call with reporters, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "We don't think these factors that can change the course of the special military operation, using Moscow's preferred term for its campaign in Ukraine." So one thing I just want to note here is that obviously they're changing things up with their army with Ukraine, right? But in my opinion, this is just another sign, another major sign that something big is coming here pretty soon. And obviously, Zelenskyy, he may be worried about his reelection. He may be worried about a lot of different things. But I think that goes to show here that the Ukrainian army, at least at this moment, is looking pretty weak. And that's why they're having to change things up. And I think also because we had that, what was that, failed counteroffensive, I think that was last year during the spring. there was this major counteroffensive that Zelenskyy was going to launch and supposedly was going to retake back all these areas, or at least large portions of areas. And it just basically went nowhere. And it stalled out, and the counteroffensive basically failed, okay? So I think most people were expecting that to happen, and maybe this really didn't help Zaluzhnyi out very much. And now, because of that failed counteroffensive last year, maybe they're planning another counterattack here very soon as well. And potentially they want to have different tactics this time. They want to try something different that didn't work. And, you know, Volodymyr Zelenskyy comes out a lot on Twitter whenever his towns come under attack by missiles and drones from Russia, just like what I reported on in the last 24 hours. He comes out a lot and he claims that, you know, Russia will bear the consequences, they will pay the price, and he will push back and go after what he's considering Russia as terrorists, okay? So this thing's going to continue here, and I think it's really going to start to change now that there's a different commander here with Ukraine's military. Okay, we're going to be seeing different things, different tactics. Okay, they've been talking about using more different types of technological warfare. So things are going to be changing here. This is definitely going to be a major shakeup within the military of Ukraine. So we should be seeing some different things happening over here, but again, it looks like there's going to be a major offensive from Russia here very soon. So I think that's what they're mostly preparing for. They're trying to beef up their army as much as they can and, you know, root out the weakness inside the military so they can be prepared to defend themselves should they, you know, start to get overrun or something like that. So it's going to be very interesting what's going to happen here moving forward, and we'll have to see what Ukraine does here. But yeah, they got a new commander now. Zaluzhnyi is out, and it should get very interesting. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care. God bless, and we'll see you later.